Hi there. I am going to be building a DIY sub-irrigated planter today. This is a Mother's Day gift, so I won't be posting this video too far ahead of time because I don't want my mom to find it. But I've already made 2 of these, so this will be number 3. So I felt like it was safe to go ahead and shoot a video and explain how I'm doing it. This is all based on the concept of sub-irrigation planters, or sub-irrigation. And I first read about this recently when I heard about earth boxes. That's one of my dogs, Sam. And these are versions of a sub-irrigation planter that I found in my local Home Depot. These are called City Pickers, and they were on sale. They're normally $30. I was able to get them for $19.50 or maybe $20 a piece. So I have 2 of them and I really have enjoyed them. I've only had them for about 2 weeks now, but they've been doing well. So I've actually made 2 of my own here, and I'm following the same technique for this 3rd one that I'm going to be doing. This one is an herb garden and this one is a strawberry plant. So just so you can see what they kind of look like. They're not too bad looking. I think they look a little bit better than the retail version. So that's why I'm doing this specific design for my mother for Mother's Day, because I wanted something that was going to look a little bit nicer on her front porch than one of these beautiful city pickers or earth boxes. So to get started, I'm going to need a few tools and a few items to sacrifice and use as the structure of the irrigation system that are going to be down the bottom of this pot. The pot itself I was able to pick up, I think almost everything I got at Home Depot. A couple things might be from Lowe's or from my house, but this thing was, I think it's a 14-inch planter, and it was $8. And key point here is you want it to be watertight, so no holes in the bottom. So that can limit what you get a little bit. This perforated piping, this is the piping you would use outside your house for runoff, I guess. This was a length that was all collapsed down. I've expanded a bit of it here so you can see what it looks like. But it was all collapsed down like this, except for the center section. It was folded out so it could be folded in half. But this is kind of what it looks like when it's expanded. It's got these little holes in it, which is going to be important for the irrigation system. Now, I've already made, like I said, 2 pots out of this. And I haven't even gotten to the halfway point, so you can make several out of this. This was a, I don't know, 12-foot length. I'd have to check the receipt, but it was $7. This PVC tubing, it was a 12-inch by 1.5-inch length of thin wall PVC pipe, and it's going to be used for the watering hole. Basically, this is where you're going to be pumping water down into the water reservoir in the bottom. Here's what it looks like when it's all assembled and done. I have this one sticking up pretty high. It doesn't have to be, it's just a matter of easy access for me. The other ingredients are, hello Vito, you're in my way, baby. Hi. The other ingredients or the other tools you're going to need are a pair of scissors. Vito, your tail's in my way, buddy. Thank you. A pair of scissors, a Dremel or something to cut the hole, the drainage hole that you're going to need in the side of this pot. A plastic bag and some sort of string. I have raffia here to close up the open ends of this perforated tubing. Garden lime, whatever kind of plant food or fertilizer you want, and organic potting mix is what I chose to use. You want to make sure that you do get potting mix. It's really, really important for that capillary action, that wicking process that is fundamental to how these things work. Potting soil or soil from your yard or garden soil just is not going to cut it. So make sure you get something that says potting mix and is not primarily made of forest products. You want something that's either coconut coir, peat moss, or something that's going to have a good wicking action. Okay, so I have finished cutting my perforated tubing, my perforated piping. I have cut it into a length that is about 3/4 around the base of my pot. This pot was the right size to get this perforated tubing down into all the way. I've capped the ends with plastic grocery bag that I have tied to the tubing with raffia. And then I've also poked small holes in the end just so that the water can move easily between this tubing and the potting mix. It's going to be all the way down to the base here. I have cut a hole in the perforated piping for my PVC tube. I have it pushed all the way down in there, so I've got a good bit of it down in there. But even all the way down, it still comes above the edge of my pot by about an inch. So that should be perfect, and it should look a little bit better than the ones that I've already done that are several inches above the edge of the pot. The last step was to cut my drainage hole, which I have done. Here it is from the outside view. I cut it so that it was a little bit below the top of this corrugated or the perforated piping, because you want a little bit of an air pocket above the top of the water level and the rest of the potting mix, because you want oxygen to be able to get to the roots. If you aren't quite sure on how much, feel free to do some internet research, some Google researching on sub-irrigation planters, but there it is from the inside. It's a pretty decently sized hole, so it shouldn't get clogged up too easily. When I start filling this with potting mix, I'm also going to be putting a few little river rocks. I have a bag of them over here, some calico stones. Just a handful so that the potting mix can't clog up this hole too easily. And I'm going to go ahead and fill it with water and fill this bottom area right here, pack it in with the potting mix so you can see. And we'll be able to see about how many gallons or quarts. I imagine it'll be about a gallon that this will be able to hold once I've got potting mix down this bottom area. So we'll see. I have finished the base of my planter. The perforated tubing here is all fit down into the bottom. I've already started putting water down into the watering tube. I have a little bit less than a gallon in there, so I'm going to wait for this potting mix that I packed real tight into this corner to start soaking some of that up, and then I'll finish filling it up until it starts to come out the drain hole. You can see it already started to run out just a little bit. So it looks like this potting mix has soaked up about as much as it's going to soak up right now. I'm going to go ahead and see how much more I can fit into this thing before it starts draining. And I'll put the camera on the drainage tube. There it goes. And it's going to be dirty to begin with, but it clears up a little bit. So that's it. That is, I mean, just shy of a gallon. We'll call it a gallon. So there it is. You can see where the water level is as compared with where the drainage hole is actually kicking in. So this is as high as the water level is gonna get. And as you can see, this stuff up here is still dry. So I have a definite air pocket up here, which is fantastic. That'll be great for my plants. I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up about halfway more. I will sprinkle on a layer of garden lime, fill it up the rest of the way, and put a little pocket of fertilizer in the middle so that my plants can get fertilizer if they need it, and start planting. Okay, so this is the last step. I have planted all my plants. I've got the water level up, and I've got very dirty hands, so I'm gonna have to wash. But right here in the middle, I have left a little bit of a divot. I've dug out a little hole. It's not very deep, just about an inch, a little over an inch. And this is where I'm going to put my fertilizer, my plant food. I have a tomato and herb fertilizer that I'm going to use. Some people really like the one that comes in the tomato package. It looks kind of like a tomato. It's like a mater or something. I didn't really have a preference, and this is what was available. So I'm going to put about, I don't know, a quarter of a cup or so in here. And that should be plenty for these plants all year. And if they do start to look a little malnourished later on in the year, I might add to it a little bit. But this is just something that you do as an additive to the soil to give them a little bit more than whatever is in the potting mix that you buy. I bought organic potting mix. It does have some fertilizer, some plant food already in it. I chose not to get organic fertilizer for my additive, but you could if you really wanted to, if you wanted to stay organic. So that's that. I'm going to put on a little bit more dirt just to kind of level this out a little bit, but I've buried it in the middle. And all of my plants are planted. I have curly parsley, English thyme, a little bitty basil plant, and some garlic chives. So we'll see how these things do. My watering tube is not too ostentatious. It's, like I said, a little less than an inch above the edge of the pot. Once I get some mulch in this container, that'll help cover that up a little bit. And this should be looking very good in a few weeks once it can flush out a little bit. So, thanks!